Hey everyone, thanks for stopping in on the Archangel 15. Michael coming back at you as always. I think I'd mentioned a while ago that like if Trump had won the election or stole the election, that I was just going to be done with all like this whole channel and everything that I try to bring you guys on a perpetual basis. Thankfully, it looks like he's on his way out. The last presentation I mentioned, I pray that our democracy prevails, and it looks like it is. It's a joke what we have with him. I heard on the news the other day, and like the news is not a funny thing to watch anymore. Like there's no humor in it whatsoever. And they were like, yeah, Jack Dorsey from Twitter had to slap misinformation tags on several of the president's tweets. And one example of this is I won the election, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's like absolutely hilarious. Like what are we coming to? Anyhow, I'd mentioned before about my theory of everything presentation. This is essentially an introduction and a segue to that. It's probably going to be a very long time before I bring you this presentation, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I really want to ramp up the production level of my work and maybe incorporate some other people, some Flash stuff, some PowerPoint. Like I want to just bring it all, maybe some videos, animation, and it's going to really cover a lot of ground. It's probably going to be at least 3 hours long. Initially, when I say that theory of everything, people probably say nobody knows everything, and yes, okay, I'm with you on that. People, I can assure you, I'm not a Yahoo. David Icke, a guy that I greatly respect, once said, "We all have some of the answers. None of us have all the answers," and that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to like basically come at you with a consortium of many theories, string theory, quantum theory, wave theory, chaos theory, the Big Bang theory. I can tell you right now that not one of them is all right and not one of them is all wrong, just like the religions that we have in the world. My goal is to connect the dots and basically bring a deeper element of science into this, such as like the elements and the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, to do this, it's going to require you to have a very, very, very open mind. Like I said, so right off, none of us are right, none of us are all wrong. Like that's kind of like accept that right off the bat. There's many theories that I'm going to push in my theory of everything that are going to greatly be challenge the scientific standards of our education system, of NASA. One example of this. The guy that they killed, they made the movie A Beautiful Mind. His name was Nash. I forget his first name. He and his wife died. Major conspiracies surrounding that. Like most people don't know this, but like he was actually getting ready to publish a report about the faster than speed of light theory. And like I totally believe this. And like this actually challenges Einstein, a fellow ABRH negative bloodline Ashkenazi Jew, like my bloodline. Challenges much of his work, like takes his work and just throws it out the window. And I totally agree with Mr. Nash and see exactly why this could have cost him his life. Like just doing this right now, I feel like I'm like Stanley Kubrick doing like Eyes Wide Shut or something. Like I feel like I'm really taking my life into my hands. Like this really steps on a lot of toes. Please have respect for this and all the work that I do, specifically the human cloning. That is like extremely dear to my heart. I will never forget or forgive that to my grave. I promise you. I will go deeper to ask, like questions, I guess quandaries of life, like almost like I guess like kind of like they did in like Greek society, like why are we here? The real matrix and the Akashic record. If you don't know what the Akashic record is, please look it up and have an understanding before I go into this. It's basically a compendium of all past, present, and future events. Some say it's stored on the etheric plane, which is like certain frequencies of sound. It's stored in. Like you can attain this just through the sound. Also through like burning wood or like this certain smells. It basically connects all of your senses together and like your human consciousness together. And like from what I understand, there's like 3,000 books or like peer-reviewed journal articles, maybe even hundreds of thousands on human consciousness, and not a single one of them agree. I'm going to go further and push the envelope and say that I'm an expert on human consciousness. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, I don't have any advanced degrees in neuroscience or anything like this, but I come from the ABRH negative bloodline, which I believe to be the bloodline of David. And also, I have had more near-death experiences than anybody I know. Starting when I was very young, got hit head on by a tractor trailer. They attempted to airlift me to a hospital. I can tell you when you pass through death's doorway and you come back, it changes you profoundly. It changes your perception of time. I'm going to reveal things that were revealed to me through divine intuition that I consider to be deep, deep secrets. Stuff that, like I said, is like not intended for the average person to know. Also, I will get into like negative frequency and the prospects of time travel. Like how I really do believe time travel is possible. And then like how could you go into this with not mentioning aliens and UFOs. I'll briefly go into that. Like also paranormal, like paranormal phenomenon, people that can control the ionosphere with their minds, psychics, people that can bend spoons, and of course the electric universe and how I think it correlates to the ABRH negative bloodline, Birkeland currents, and the origins of our universe, and like explains everything, like the yin and the yang. Like I can basically tie it all together to like the singularity. If you understand this concept of the singularity, I can like tie it together with time, and that's my goal. It's going to take me a very, very long time to do this, so please, please, people, bear with me. Like I said, I've been dead and come back so many times that I can't even count. So maybe I'll go into that. I will tell you also, what I believe happens when you die. Like I don't believe that there's just a set, you go to heaven, you go to hell. I think that like some of these other aspects of like reincarnation, possibly purgatory, all play into it, and I'll give you my take. This presentation is also a Segway. Eventually I may do a separate one for this, but if I don't, I want to mention this. This is a book I just got done reading, the Secret Lost Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, and the Phantom of the Poles. So it's like first part's like his diary, his personal pages that he wrote. And the rest of it's this book based on his diary. Really, really profound, interesting stuff. This guy basically from the Navy went on this expedition to the poles, or to like the South Pole, and found all this. Like he went in there and it basically they said there's a hollow Earth, and he went in there and he was like contacted by these aliens. But like it was such like I've actually experienced this. Like I said before, that I believe that there's a higher race of people that can like speak to you without even speaking a verbal language. They can like almost talk to you through like telepathy. And he like experienced this feeling of like beyond words that we have to describe it. And like basically told him about how like we toiled with nuclear warfare and that was not for us to do. And that these people they actually wanted to remain anonymous. But after we started messing with that, they had to like basically make their presence known. Some of their UFOs supposedly got shot down. He talks about UFOs that followed his plane that had swastikas on them. Like I said, the swastika is not a symbol of hate. It's a unilateral symbol that shows up throughout the much anthropology and architecture and symbolism throughout world history. Please do your research on it before you say it's a symbol of hate. But he talks about the UFOs that have that, and like I've heard this before, and like it's all very congruent with everything else I've heard, and I think it ties all this together. And interestingly enough, like I said, my grandfather actually helped break Japanese code, and they supposedly had the code broken before Pearl Harbor and could have thwarted Pearl Harbor, but allowed it to happen to basically perpetuate the growing of the military-industrial complex. And why you're going to understand that. Why are we here? I can tell you a little hint. Not to destroy our Earth with nuclear weapons, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time today. God bless you. And if I don't see you before Thanksgiving, I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there.